Stop trying to copy Tracee Ellis Ross's style and do this instead. Here's my train of thought on Tracee Ellis Ross's style. The words du jour, say it with me. Grown and sexy. Tracee Ellis Ross has always been that girl, but in recent years she has shot to fashion icon status and she just received her Women's Wear Daily Fashion Trailblazer Award. But first, let's address the Bob Mackie glam elephant in the room. Tracee's mother is Diana Ross.
I was always into clothes. I was the girl who would sit in my mom's quick change booth. I mean, you can't talk about my style without talking about what I am born of. I mean, I am born of a style icon queen who just redefined all of it. And sadly, I had access to her closet.
Well, it doesn't sound too sad.
I say that for her.
Right. Okay.
Even your mum playing Tracy Chambers in the film Mahogany would be enough to start you off as a future fashion icon. If you want to geek out over Mahogany, point yourself to this interview that I did with Marcellus Reynolds, the first one, not the second one. Marcellus talking about Mahogany is joy personified.
And the thing that really inspired my life, and I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it. But I watched Mahogany when I was like 8 with Diana Ross. And you can't put a little baby gay boy in front of a television and let him watch Mahogany without supervision, without adult supervision.
But with Diana Ross, that is the tip of the iceberg. She was already Diana Ross when she had Tracee. Don't worry, this is still a Tracee Ross video, but I think it's important to pay attention to the mother because, much like Tracee, Diana Ross also rejects traditional stereotypes when it comes to how a woman should age. So when we applaud Tracee for this, it's important to acknowledge the influence she must have had in the house growing up. These things don't always happen by accident. But my favourite Diana Tracee fashion story is that Diana Ross had been asked to walk for Thierry Mugler in 1991 around the time of Tracee's 18th birthday, and she said, "You have to let me bring my supermodel obsessed daughter." She walked for the spring summer 91 butterfly collection, and they also brought her back in 1992. Someone bring them back next season. How does one become a trailblazer? Tracee was exposed to high-profile Hollywood star-studded events from a very young age. She knows glamour like the back of her hand. So what does she do at 19 years old? Wears this minimal dress and trainers out in New York, and that was her first look at me moment that had people noticing her as a fashion girl. Rebellion and experimentation doesn't always look like putting a safety pin through your eyebrow. Tracee is a true lover of clothes. You can tell she has a soul connection to the pieces that she buys. While not much about Tracee's upbringing is relatable, one thing that is relatable to a lot of us fashion girls is that before she could afford these high-end brands that she dreamed of wearing, she bought a lot of vintage. Buying vintage helps you have a better eye because it takes longer to find things and you just see more clothes. And what you're witnessing with Tracee's present day style is her inner child wilding out in all the clothes that she'd ever dreamed of wearing.
And I'm a big shopper, but I am always happy to return stuff. Like if stuff doesn't work, I don't just keep. It's very rare that there's something in my closet that I didn't end up wearing. And you'll notice, I think people usually notice, like I wear stuff over and over again. It doesn't leave.
Yeah.
And I get things repaired all the time, or I sort of shift things a little bit. And, you know, one of the things I know about myself, I'm not a fan of doing dishes, but I do them and I will always shop.
If we go back to this look that she wore for her Women's Wear Daily Trailblazer Awards, I'm pretty sure this is the belt that she talks about when she went on the Goodbye podcast. And she was saying there was a Leather Alaya belt that she'd been hunting for ages. And they were like, don't they just send them to you? Like, what do you mean you can't find something? And she's talking about they didn't have it in her size and she's been going to every store. And it just sounds like she does what all of us do, which is fixate on pieces that she's so in love with and doesn't stop until she gets them. And I was so happy to see her wearing this full Alaya look. And that's why so many of us would describe Tracee as a joyful dresser, because she's genuinely joyful to be dressing. It's not so much about wearing what is flattering and wearing really sexy tight outfits. A lot of people would shy away from wearing a square over the smallest part of their body, but Tracee does not care. She's not afraid to dabble with surrealist shapes, even cubist kind of looking outfits.
And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that Entertainment Tonight did a piece and cut my head off and said, who would have been caught dead in this horrible dress? And I was like, oh, God, me, because it's gorgeous and you guys are idiots. But that's the whole thing about style, is not everybody's gonna get it, and it doesn't matter. I really don't dress for other people. I dress for myself. I dress for my own joy, my own experience.
Which leads me to somebody's style who I want to spotlight, London Girl in NYC. Her style completely reminds me of Tracee Ellis Ross. And again, she's not afraid to wear things that would be typically deemed unflattering, and she always looks good. So I want to go on record and say that in clothes and dressing, the opposite to flattering is not unflattering. It is simply dressing in a way that showcases the possibility of the garment rather than the possibility of your body parts. I also feel this way about Marni Senofonte. She is another fearless dresser who's not afraid to take it there with the shapes and silhouettes. And if we're going to talk about stylists like Marni Senofonte, we probably should mention Carla Welch, who is Tracee's. Well-dressed people also have stylists. That notion of becoming more maximalist as we get older 100% applies with Tracee. We saw that too with Erykah Badu. And one to watch, I really believe that Tiana Taylor is going to be one of these people. I've always loved her style and she does wear maximalist looks already. But look out for her in a few years, and don't forget that I said it. 2 episodes of my podcast, The Fashion App, that touch on this concept are the one with Remy Talks Fashion and the one with Judith Boyd, aka Style Crone. P.S. I'm also on Spotify now. If I had to break her style down into categories, I would say oversized, large drapes, color blocking, abstract shapes, leather, texture. So it's no surprise that she wears a lot of Loewe, Bottega, Schiaparelli, Alaïa, etc, etc. Obviously, Girlfriends, that was filmed in 2000, is a goldmine for Tracee Ellis Ross's early style, because a lot of the things that her character Joan wore were from her own wardrobe, and the things that weren't often ended up in Tracee's wardrobe. Joan is often heralded as the Carrie Bradshaw of the black community. And we should not gloss over the fact that 2 of the most fashionable shows in recent history started with mainly thrifted and actresses' own pieces. Also, Joan's style was super sexy at times, and I feel like in this video, if I've made it seem like Tracee Ellis Ross only dresses really baggy and oversized and artistically, she can actually do a sexy look very well. And what I love about it is that she does it in a way where it doesn't feel like she has to. I mean, of course, she was victim to this look, like, weren't we all? But nowadays, her sexy looks are just like, just because I don't doesn't mean I can't. And she's just having fun. And I love that. Tracee Ellis Ross has always been herself. And a lot of her throwback outfits are things that you would see her in now. They would just be elevated. And the best part is, you know how she would elevate them because her look is so strong. As usual, assess everything, see what resonates, go to your wardrobe, play, and let me know how it goes. Bye!